There's kind of the food police out there. I can tell you there's a lot of food police because I've experienced it. So how did bread pudding become your signature dessert, which sounds just unbelievable?
It is decadent. It just clicked to my mind. It reminds me a little bit when you choose to be a chef. It is a mission that in some way then you have. I won't give up to chocolate ever.
We can live without water for a long time, but we cannot live without human touch. Chef, I'm really interested to know, I know how my training went and it was very siloed. We learned about one system at a time, which was, probably the right way to do it because I didn't know systems. And at the end, the goal is to integrate those systems. So not just to think that the lung is not related to the heart in any way. They're both in the cavity, the cavity of the chest, and they work in a coordinated fashion. One to pump blood. That blood contains oxygen from the lung. Right. And then the goal is to get it to the brain. So these are all interconnected systems. And in medicine, we've siloed everything. We've isolated everything. But humans don't function as independent systems. They function as an integrated system. So I'm really curious, how do chefs learn to think about food and bring food to a person for nourishment and enjoyment? Because we must enjoy our food. Nourishment and enjoyment. People today, the bodybuilders, protein, protein, protein. Everybody, you need this many grams of protein per day, which I actually don't buy into any of that. I'm not restrictive in any way, but I'd like to be supportive of the body in terms of it's not all protein, it's not all vegan or carbs, and it's not all fat. I think the body is integrated, the systems need all of them, we need all of them, and everything in balance, and nothing in isolation. It's not more of one thing, more of another thing. It's balance. How do you learn about that in school when you go and study culinary, art and food?
Well, I couldn't agree more than what you said. Well, first of all, I come from a culture that love to integrate everything. And perhaps the chef that I respect the most, even now, the younger chef, Michelin stars and everything, they based whatever they do on their tradition and culture, because we learn from our ancestors, as grandparents, the values of food. It's not, I would say, it's not really an healthy food or unhealthy food. Like you said, it's not just go, or today, this week, I want to clean my body and I won't eat carbs, or I just eat proteins because I need to build my muscles. It doesn't, to me, it is not a part of my books. What you learn,
school?
What you learn in school? Well, in school you learn the meaning of cooking, the how you combine ingredients, the reaction of ingredients, the technique,
the chemical reaction.
But what you learn as when you choose to be a chef, just like when you choose to become a doctor, it is a mission that in some way then you have, because food is something very very unique, it's an intimate part of. You give to someone a piece of bread and they bring to their mouth and they have to feel something.
It's very intimate. Yeah, I mean, you're really awakening all kinds of senses,
exactly,
emotions,
exactly. It's very spiritual and emotional. Besides, they have to be good, nourishing, exactly. So I won't say that I won't suggest any particular diet, crazy diet, and eliminate one thing and include another thing, unless it's some, sickness. Then okay, the doctor said I cannot have this carbs, because food, as you said, just like a medicine, we cannot see like independently. Okay, the carbs, yes, protein, yes. Legumes, no, because they make my stomach, my belly bloating. It's just, it's very complex. Putting together and eating whatever your body, like we spoke about yesterday, feel to have it, and then pay attention to signals.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
it's
The body is a system, and it's a complex network of signals, adaptations constantly. And one of the interesting things is, when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, I was fairly balanced in my food, although I did count carbs a lot prior to when I was young. And they tell you no carbs, no carbs, no carbs. And wherever I go, wherever I am, there's kind of the food police out there. I can tell you there's a lot of food police because I've experienced it. And these food police judge.
What's food police?
Food police. Food police are the people who look at your plate, and they look at the plate of what you chose to put on your plate. And I've experienced this for 2 decades or more. I remember being at a conference 2 decades ago. I will never forget it. I had spoken at this conference, and it was a group of people that were really interested in health, and there were other doctors there. And so I sat at a table with the attendees of the conference, and they were shocked that on my plate I might have carbs because I had diabetes, and they were shocked that I would have, not only protein and any fat on the plate. I just ate and just kind of watched everybody's behavior around me. And, somebody then said to me, I'm really surprised to see you eat the bread with diabetes. And I laughed and I said, I need fuel, and carbs provide fuel. It's not about not eating bread. It's not about not eating pasta. It's really about how much we eat.
Exactly. It's about balance.
It's about balance. And so at the end of the day, your body will supply insulin, will supply other enzymes. Insulin is just one mechanism for getting sugar where it needs to go. Do you know that if you don't eat any carb and you just eat your protein, you're not going to break down that protein and drive those amino acids into cells to make muscle? And you need insulin. So a little bit of sugar or carb of some sort, ideally healthy with high fiber, will drive the amino acid into the muscle to build the muscle. In fact, many bodybuilders, I've read many bodybuilder books because I was really into sports and performance, and still am. And they would take a little bit of insulin when they have their protein sources, when they eat them, because they want to drive the amino acids from the protein sources that are in the body into building the muscle. And insulin does that.
Right.
The way we get our body to secrete insulin is with a little bit of carb. It's fascinating. So I've known that for a long time, but people just get so isolated. It's all this and none of that. Or, nobody thinks about balance, and nobody thinks that of the body as an integrated system. It's mostly viewed in isolation.
Exactly.
One food, one thing. And then, essentially you're losing the big picture of the whole.
Exactly. Well, we spoke about yesterday, then we following a trend, most of the people. So they designed a trend, yeah. Exactly. And then they mirror maybe some style that was, or some diet that was a design for somebody else. So they don't fit in that particular diet, but they do. And of course, the result, of course, they want to do something wonderful, they want to feel better, but in reality they do something opposite, because their body reacts completely differently from another person who was having the same food.
I love that. We are unique, right, as human beings.
Exactly.
Genetically unique. We have our own blueprint. We have our own life's book of instructions. I have identical twins, my daughters, and they are unique. They are identical, and 97, 99%, whatever that is, they shared the same, little space in the womb, and then they separated. And then the life's experience around them, what relationships, emotions, interactions, food, what they didn't eat exactly the same thing, even though they did lose their tooth on the same day and they broke their thumbs on the same day. And, so many things happened, and they grew like millimeters on the same day, remarkably. They're still uniquely different, and they might not need the same food. Twins. Have you experienced, many twins. I know some of your best friends have twins and other things. they're unique, right? And
absolutely unique.
they're unique in their needs of food. So othering and mirroring may not be a great thing to do. Think about what you need and just create and restore balance.
Yeah. Actually, it's very interesting what you said, because even if they're twins, they're completely different in many reaction in many ways, including food. You imagine two individuals like you and I, or Brandon and I, they experience the same food and react in different way, because our body reacts differently. And it's so profound and important and easy to understand. But unfortunately, we are trapped by, people said, oh, now figure out the carbs, they are absolutely, not good for your body. So let's eliminate all the carbs. Let's do a protein diet, and of course it's not good. So then we have to think about, and like we discussed yesterday, the future is go back to the origin. When people, they don't even know protein, carbs, and differentiate the things, but they follow the seasonality of the ingredients, and they put together what they have respectfully, and really not the huge quantity. And they were more, I think they're more healthy, they're less sickness, especially, stomach or intestinal, other stuff. So
yeah. When everything's balanced and coherent, and you're, listening and responding to the signals that your body has with food in a full way, not just with what your body, you might want the sugar, you might crave the sugar, right? But just check in with the gut. How's the gut feeling? One of the things about sugar that I've learned a lot about, particularly more since diabetes, is that the more we eat sugar, the more we can get a little bit of what we call gastroparesis, gastro-stomach paresis, stop. So the stomach can slow down a little bit, and then digestion is, not optimal. It may be slow. And so I think that, I would say that irritable bowel, whether it's constipation or diarrhea, is really a lot about food. And one of the concepts I think a lot about today is nutrient sensing. So sugar can slow the way the gut moves. It can cause a little constipation in one, but that it might cause diarrhea around that constipated gut area in another. So the gut can become irritable, and it really depends upon the person. So nutrient sensing, the nutrients in the food that you're preparing, and the simplicity of it with just 3 ingredients and just keeping it simple is really key, because the more we pile and dump stuff into our gut and we're not conscious of what we're putting in, or we're siloing it and just choosing one item, the more we will get dysregulated nutrient sensing. And when we look at hallmarks of aging, and aging faster than our chronological age, our birthday age. Your birthday age may be 30, but if you dysregulate the sensing of nutrients in your gut, it's called deregulated nutrient sensing, dysregulate the sensing of nutrients as they come in your gut, you will age faster. And as you age faster, in what system will be independent to the person, because everybody's unique in their genetic makeup. And so I think it's really interesting to think about that balance again, and come back to balance to assure that we can sense nutrients, get them into the body, use them for regeneration and a whole system. Any thoughts on?
Well, we don't have to, I think that, again, the balance is most important. We don't have to stress out our mind and body that, I should have this, I won't give up to chocolate ever, unless I'm dying if I eat chocolate. But because, again, I won't eat 1 kilo or 1 pound of chocolate. I eat a little piece of chocolate, good chocolate, and just to satisfy me and make me happy. Even before I go into bed, sometimes I need something, and I have a piece of chocolate, and I have it. And hopefully I can continue forever. But
chocolate is amazing because it stimulates this area in the brain called the LHA, the lateral hypothalamic area, and it feels like an endorphin. It feels like you're in love. I mean, chocolate can really, is chocolate con amore. So you can feel that way. What about milk? What about dairy?
Milk.
Because that's a big deal. There are people who truly have lactase deficiency, the enzyme for digesting milk, and they don't do well with it. And certainly if someone has a diarrheal problem, they're going to be shedding that enzyme and have more difficulty with lactose. But what's the feeling in the chef world about milk and butter and dairy products?
Well, like you said, some people, they really cannot tolerate dairy, so they have to avoid the dairy. And I have a lot of people then when they come to my restaurant previously say, oh my God, I'm allergic to this and that. But then some of them, and this is funny, but it's the truth, they eat dessert like bread pudding, which was one of my signature dessert, and they love it, which is made with eggs, sugar, and bread. And
sounds like decadence.
Heavy cream.
Heavy cream.
But they want to avoid, let's say, the pasta or whatever is that is a little bit of butter. But they eat the bread pudding, which is completely not dairy free.
So how did bread pudding become your signature dessert, which sounds just unbelievable?
It is decadent. Again, it's decadent because it's fulfilled with so much intention and ingredients as well. Bread pudding was born from when my first restaurant used to make bread, and we make so much bread, the rustic bread, huge bread.
Huge round rustic bread. Sounds delicious.
Fantastic.
Crusty? I love crusty.
But with also, not sourdough. It's between sourdough and fresh. It was incredibly delicious. And one day I went for a trip to Cape Cod, and I went to this restaurant, and they offered me bread pudding, and I had it. It was very sweet, but it just clicked to my mind. It reminds me a little bit the zuppa di latte that I used to have when I was young. The only thing that I ate, actually.
Zuppa di latte.
So it was the milk, the bread soaked in milk with a little sugar on top for breakfast. And
I would be in bed at lunchtime if I ate that. Or maybe in a coma.
And so when I came back to work, we have a lot of loaf of bread sometimes left over. And I said, well, that's enough to do breadcrumbs. So we have so much of that. So I try to experiment. Bread pudding exists in America. A lot of people do.
Wait, no waste in your restaurant. Take the bread left over, make breadcrumbs, use that for chicken parmigiano.
Yes,
and then
like everybody else. So it's not just.
And now, bread pudding.
Bread pudding. So the thing that changed my bread pudding, because it was based on my memory about zuppa di latte with bread, and that's why in some way I massage the bread and I cook it bain-marie, and I just transform slowly. Again, I try to figure out what was the flavor then closest to my memory. And then
try to attach flavor to the memory. A beautiful memory, a memory of
beautiful memory that I shared with my family, and then remain always today when I go home. Actually, last time I didn't, but most of the time we try to make a bread pudding, at least for once, and share it.
I have this vision and memory, and we've had talks about this previously, because I love fascia, and fascia is that tissue that surrounds all of our cells and organs, and fascia is everywhere. It's almost like oxygen within our body. Fascia is everywhere. It's way bigger than skin plus gut plus all of these other things. It is just the juice that keeps our cells alive. Tell me, we have had a conversation about fascia being like dough, and the fascia being what allows us to be elastic and recoil, meaning we can stretch our biceps, our quadriceps, any muscle in our body, arms or legs or anything, and then it can recoil, and we can stretch it and it can recoil. We talked about that with the way you touch the bread, the way you make the bread respond to you. Yeah. Talk to me about making bread and what you're thinking about as you knead and you put that energy into the bread. Like you'll even give it a massage with your elbow, like you're a real masseuse.
Yeah. Well, bread I think is one of the most powerful, I don't know what to say, but it's really when you want when I feel sad or I feel happy, they can express any energy when you make bread.
You're talking about making bread, not buying it,
making bread, baking bread, because you touch something, and then from your touch, and then again, you can have the same recipe, and the bread can come completely different from one week to another, because again, it's the way then you approach the dough.
So what do you do with the dough?
It's funny that because you always said when we start to work and talking about the relation between food and biology of human, then I understand, because I touch the dough, so I know exactly the way then the flour have to be, how much water needs the flour to be hydrated and get massaged and respond to grow or to raise.
And think about how much time it takes when you make bread. You have to massage it, right? You have to think about the water in the egg.
No egg.
No egg, no egg. Okay, that was a mistake.
Yeast.
Yeast. The water and the yeast.
More flour.
And the different type of flour. Is it more gluten in the flour, less gluten in the flour? Or wheat. And that's going to basically determine the texture of the bread, correct?
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, just like you said, it depends on flour and depends on what kind of bread you want to make. Sometimes it takes 2 days, because you want to let rest, and again
let it rest. Rest and recovery. It's called recovery.
Exactly, just like a fascia. Rest and recovery. Do massage and you feel better and energized. Yes.
You did work in massage, right? You did go to school.
I did work. I went 1 year to aesthetic and massage school, and it was when I started college, and because I need to learn this profession to make some money to help myself to have fun and go with friends and have some money. And in Italy, it's very difficult to find a job when you go to school, was at least. And I think still now. So I have a friend, and I start to work with her, and she has this, she was an hairdresser with also spa. And I said, okay, well, maybe I should learn to do massage. And I did. And believe me,
when you touch the body with massage, is there any similarity to massaging bread?
Absolutely. I used to go there in the afternoon after school, and then they ask me, because you won't, so you pay to go to school, but they're using you to do stuff because you have to learn. So someday I would do 8 massages, and I went home just that.
And the connection between making the bread and massage.
Yeah, absolutely.
The tactile.
I didn't know until I became a chef. So everything comes around like the circle, because you learn. So I learned to in art school to see the naked people and then design them. Then I went to learn how to do massage, and then I started to cook. So, and everything, the combination it is a circle, because you really understand then the fascia. It's equivalent to sometimes when you make your dough, and then you have to remember that.
So the fascia is the tendon, the ligament, the tissue. It's like everything that they're trying to work when you go for massage. I mean, they're really trying to loosen this up. And really, we know that hydration is important for the bread. It's important for the massage. Oil can sometimes be part of bread. It's a focaccia. It's important for the massage. And then really just giving the body that chance for the tissue to respond to that touch. I know that touch, approach a fascia, it already has antennae. It knows whether that touch is going to be received well or not. It knows.
Important.
It knows whether to recoil from that touch, or it knows whether to respond to that touch. And that's so massage is intimate, food is intimate when you, as you said earlier, when you put it in your mouth, touching our food is kind of the same way that we should allow our body to be touched. Because you know what? We can live without everything. We can live without seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting. We can live without water for a long time, but we cannot live without human touch.
Absolutely.